I'm live. I have to send a link out now. I can't use the old link. Let me use this one. What's this link? Our main channel. The one live. I have to send a link out now. I can't use the old link. All right. Let me use this one. What's this link? Our main channel. The one. Okay. Joy is going to find it, please. Thank you. Hello, Passionate out there. Good to see you. Finally, I'm on. Happy Thursday night. We won't have the jazz music for you, but I'm late coming in. Technical problem, but it's an exciting night. Talk about relationship. My favorite topic. I've been coaching hundreds of couples, thousands of young people. So what you are going to get tonight is the best of best from all those thousands of hours of talking, follow-up, and struggles, and fight, and reconciliation, you name it, okay? So all this thing I'm going to share with you is essential. Going through pandemic, you know what essential means. This is essential for relationship. Tonight is very simple. Tonight, for those of you out there, it's one simple question. And is my standard for my spouse or future spouse too high? Or you can ask, is my standard for my future or current spouse too low? So we'll talk about that standard, all right? So, but I'm going to spin it around. I'll use motivation science and experience coaching young people, old people, you name it, all kinds of people, to give you some kind of really insight about this question. It's a crucial question because if your standard is too high, you may not want to get married because once you raise up your bar, it's like fewer and fewer people show up on the radar screen. All right, that's the real. If you lower your bar too low, and when you like walk into a relationship, we'll say, wow, what do I get today? So tonight, it's very simple. But all of you out there online YouTube or you are in a Zoom, prepare your question. So, but I'm going to start with something which is quite, you probably won't expect this, but you got to have this. You have to trust me on this one. I'm going to take you back to 1939. What does that mean? Oh, well, in 1939, there was a research or a questionnaire that's going around as a two-part question. One is for men, one is for women. Basically, it's asking what is good or bad to be a husband and wife material. Okay, when I say material, don't criticize me, please. When I say that, mean that the quality. That's the 1931 language. So, so I'll give you a couple of the things. So this is the list. This is really the original print from 1939, the husband's chart. All right, listen, all the women out there, this is a husband's chart. These are the good on the right-hand side called marrieds and the bad demerit on the left-hand side. Each one you can check and see how your potential husband or man add up to the final score. All right. So I'll give you some of them, which I think is very funny. For example, the merit number one doesn't mean it's the highest one, just one of them. Give wife ample allowances or turn paycheck over to her. Hey, woman out there, do you like that? You don't see that? Let me get myself out of it. Hold on. I know you want to see it. Here we go. All right. I'm going to move myself. Merit. Are you ready? The first one. Okay. And the second one, courtesy. Of course, wife's friend. Hey, that's still working today, right? The man is actually nice to your friends or the woman out there, passionaires. What do you think? Number three, frequently compliment wife. I can't read it. It's 1939, sorry, 1939. Wives, looks, cooking, housekeeping, etc. All right, that's a 5. That means it's actually have a weight factor of 5 compared to 1. Pretty cool. Remember birthday, anniversary. We have an app for that. Don't worry about it. Okay, we Google Calendar. help wife with dishes, caring for children, scrubbing, scrubbing. Wow. Hey, so this is the list. I don't want to go through it. But number 10, I want to draw your attention to number 10, a good conversationalist. Hey, in 1939, your grandpa, grandma's, marriage, still women want men to be talkative, to communicate, to be a great, good conversationalist. Ha, 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 ha. Number 11, steady workers and good provider. That's there. Number 12, leave car for wife on days she may need it. Now, you may think it's funny, but in 1939, average American household owns just one car. That's very nice. All right, so let me move myself to the left. Let me go to the demerit, which is the bad part. Now, I'm going to the final one is snores. Now, that's not fair. Okay, that's really not fair, folks. I mean, come on, I mean, snores, and then you just deduct point from it. You won't know whether that man snore when you sleep with him. So that's not fair, man, guys. This is like, for the people who are not married, don't I don't know how you get to know this, but be careful. This one shouldn't be there. I kind of strongly object that that's too much because I do snore. Okay. And the number one, stare at or flirt with other women while out with wife. I strongly recommend looking into this one. Number two, read newspaper at the table. Women still don't want people read newspaper in the table. You guys are relieved from this because no newspaper exists today, okay? But this one you can say, hey, don't look at your cell phone. Hey. Remote control or video games. Okay, all right. So fail to come to table promptly when meal is ready. I won't go through the detail. This is the standard, good or bad standard for husband or man material or husband material in 1939. Why I'm mentioning this year? Because that's when the America has the lowest divorce rate in the 30s. And right before, that's right after the greatest depression, financially, the country just went down, but somehow the marriage stays strong. So I'm not saying you should, no, I'm just raise this up to you. This one will actually circle around internet every 10 years. People just go back to this. This is your grandpa and grandma thing, all right? So, and I'm going to go to the woman's side. Oh, the woman's side is so interesting, all right? The wife's chart is actually done by a PhD called George W. Crane, an MD. So it's a serious study. Come on, folks. All right. Ready for the wife's one? Wives, ready? For the men, I'm sorry. The first one, a good hostess, even to unexpected guests. Good-hearted, right there. Oh, let me move myself on the side so you read it. Second, has meal on time. Oh man, that's not fair. Oh gosh, has meal on time. Wow. My household fails that every day. Our meal is just never on time. We just go with flow. Okay. Sometimes we live on the West Coast time zone. That's okay. I love it on Saturday morning. We just have a brunch, So, okay. Number 3, can carry on an interesting conversation. Really? Hey, man, in 1939, grandpa, you want your wife to carry an interesting conversation? Today, I'm not sure that's high on the marriage side, Can play, sorry, let me take that back. Maybe that's for you. All right, can play a musical instrument as piano, violin, etc. Oh my goodness. I really have men come on to me like, I really want my wife to be, playing piano. I say, my first question with the man is like, do you love music? Yes, I do. Okay. Do you want to marry the piano or the wife? Okay. Or the wife playing piano. So let's be very careful. Okay. So another thing here, let me move myself to the left, the demerit, which is a bad thing. Number 1, slow in coming to bed, delay until husband almost asleep. Hey, it won't change. It's about sex. All right. Don't tell me it's just late or, not to go to bed. It's about sex. Just be honest. It's a big item when we do this kind of couple stuff from PQ. It's a big topic everywhere we talk, but sex is not everything. Okay. So this one is there. Oh, well, so watch out. So we'll talk about it. And number two is doesn't like children. Hey, in 1939, if you don't like children, you are not a wife material. Woo-hoo. Today, then that's why we don't have that many people getting married. Well, I can't see that. I can't see it. Fail to sew on buttons or darn socks regularly. Hey, come on, who is doing that? Oh, no way. Wears soiled and ragged dresses. Okay. That's so not fair. All right, I love it. Okay. Is backseat driver. Oh, I love that part. Oh, when the wife become a backseat driver, I got you. All right, so I won't go into detail. This is the standard for 1939 to be good marriage or bad marriage. The standard. Is your standard too high or too low, folks? So tonight, if you are here, I want you to join us or you're online. Type out your standard. I'm going to analyze for you. Is that standard too high and too low? All right. I will give you rating on that based on motivation science. For example, if the man snore, it's a bad thing. Well, I have an opinion. I'll give you a couple of things. But I will break it down. So before we go, I want you to know this. A lot of the standards, when I say it's not fair, means there are things that could be changed, improved through marriage. So if you want a starting point too high, that's a problem, because things can change. If you want people around your age, say 18, 25, already mature enough to take care of those, it's a good standard, but I would encourage you to give the future spouse a benefit of doubt, like he or she is able to grow. So the potential, or is this person teachable, coachable, willing to work with you? You have to rank that as well in there, because the guy and woman's, well, the girl's performance, that we call it human doing, can be improved. That person can make more money. That person can really cannot grow taller, but can change personality, can have better character. When I marry my wife, I as a single man, if you come to my dorm, it's just messy. But if my wife put the standard, say I'm going to marry a neat, clean man, I'm disqualified day one. All right. But hey, I'm making tremendous progress. I'll tell you about the secret. This is from the passion quotient side. So yeah, but there are three axes in life before we go. So I'm going to come from one of the three axes, which is very crucial that don't change. That person will not change inside, which is the motivation, or we call the passions. That's hard to change. That's very, very important to know, okay? The other two axes is called performance or doing. That means how much money that person make, the look can change. Folks, I'm not saying plastic surgery. I don't mean that, okay? The look can change because the dress, the way the hair, I change my look a lot. Okay, now with the long hair, I love it. My wife doesn't like it, but hey, look can change, can fool you, okay? And once you get into 50 years of marriage, look doesn't really matter. So my mentor told me this, like, hey man, he's a Italian pastor with, like, hey Conley, I say, yes sir. You know what? When you reach your 50, I say, yes sir. I was about 20. You are responsible as a man. The look, your wife's look. You are responsible for your wife's look. If you say your wife doesn't look good, that's your responsibility, because you do not take care of her enough. All right. I said, yes, sir. I'll listen to that. And then he finished off the sentence. All right, Conley. I say, yes, sir. But then you are responsible for your own look as a man. Man, when you go to your 50, how you look, hey, you're responsible. I love that. All right. So the performance side, we call it human doing side, is able to change. We can work together. So I love a guy online say this, IKEA marriage. You know what I mean? When you get married, you and your wife or you and your husband go to IKEA, buy your first set of furniture. That's all right. But if you want your first furniture is from the most expensive furniture store as your standard, good luck. You may get married when you are 40, okay? Because that will take that long to get there, all right? So here we go. The character, people say, oh, character. Well, watch me say this carefully. So you have to, every standard, you have to take it parts, 3 parts. Is this performance, is this human doing side that could be improved or work together? 1 plus 1 in a marriage, good marriage, is larger than 2. Can you 2 work together on it, to buy a house, to work on a better job, to move to an area? Yeah, that's a doing. The second axis is character, personality, not personality, more like a character, moral value. That's very important. You need some standard, but if your standard is way too high, that's also a problem because that character could change, could be polished. My character changed a lot when I married my wife, okay? So, and she changed too. So that one could change, but there's one axis which is never change, is we call motivation, as we call the inner drive, we call passion quotient. So I'm going to come from those 3 axes to analyze your standard tonight. All right. So, well, 1939, your grandpa's stuff probably don't work on you. Some of them do, but you have to modernize it. But so tonight, I want you to, let me look at the chat. So all the people in the online or in the Zoom with us, are you ready to type up some of your questions? You don't have to show your face. If you want, you can unmute yourself. You can start asking, raise your hand. I'm going to just analyze for you, like your standard, or you can say, Coach K, it's not my standard. My friend's friend has a standard. I'll take that. Okay. So do you have a standard that, let me analyze that for you. And anybody ready? Let me look at the chat right now and online. Type it out, unmute. You don't have to show your face. I got you, but we want to hear you. Either way, anybody, start from someone. Hello, Joyce, pay attention. We have Coach Joyce in the background. All right, give me your standard. Let me analyze it for you. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, ready. Okay. All right, we have the first question popping. Oh, I love it. Coach K, what do you think about the advice that how a man treat his mom is indicative of how he will treat you? That's a wonderful question. All right. This question I have elaborated almost for about 3 hours because we are talking from the mommy's boy all the way. It's a full spectrum of men along this way, like they're love for their mommy. Okay. Oh man. Now. Okay. Oh, okay, Casey, you hit the jackpot. Let me read that question again. Okay, I want you to ask along this line. Like, do you think about the advice that how a man treat his mom is indicative of how he will treat you? Oh, here we go. Let's answer this question. All right. My answer is yes and no. Now, I have coached many mommy's boy. They are in their 50, 40, 30s, 20s. But in their heart, they are mommy's boy. But in today's modern man, it's not like they are say yes, ma'am type of man. No, you will be shocked. But when they are very vulnerable, their first instinct to find their mommy. Now, that sounds kind of intuitive, but as a man, at a certain point of our life, when we are vulnerable, if our first instinct is go back to mommy, I have some problem with that. All right. So so it's a very provocative question here. So but should a man treat his mom respectfully? Yes. But so we'll come down to the mental emotion dependence. What is the core of that man when that man face difficulty, challenges, and disheartened, and so they'll come down to a couple of things. All right, let me give you this. This is it. Oh, you guys got good stuff. So I'm come back to the motivation science. All right, so okay, no. Oh, this is a good question. I love it. Give me that. Hold on. Let me go there. All right. Again, if your man is high acceptance and high tranquility and low power, let me get the power out. Am I have a power out? We talk about the self-defeating loop. Let me get there. So this is a good question. We go to the, why Casey always asks a tough question. And soft power. One more time. All right. So when the man treated his mom, let me give you this trick. Okay. Don't look at just a behavior. A man opened the door for mom. The man saying, give to mom. I know a man with a PhD working in the best pharmaceutical company. He's single. He's not close to 50. He dates every week. He has tons of money. He drives Audi, race car. Wonderful man, handsome, okay, tall, and he's an ideal husband, but he is not married. You know why? He calls his mom every night. So, do you want your husband to call you every night like he calls his mom? So, see, that's a question for you. So let me just give you the motivation science answer for this. Number one. If the man's emotion depend on the mom, that he will feel accepted when he faces challenges, it's a no-no. One more time. If man's confidence, comfort zone, built around his mom, please. You guys see me? No? Okay. Now, I'm going to annoy many people online, but if a person's acceptance, approval, a lot come from mom. Be very, very careful. Usually the mom is high power here, higher power. A coach, a teacher, a pastor, a CEO, that tiger mom, basically. Well, watch out. I would say no. I vote no on that. All right. Number two, if your man, the tranquility where the man find peace is from mom. That relationship, to me, needs some adjustment. Number three, if the man doesn't want to, like 1939, it's not going to be conversational. It's suppressed. Never say what you want. Everything is right. Let's go. But when things doesn't go well, boom, like passive aggressive. We call it soft power. It's like, yeah, I support you, but. So those are the area I would say very careful about, like man and mom's relationship, because that's where a lot of, so I teach a lot of moms, and I'm glad they listen. Like, you have to allow your teenage boy to make mistake, to speak his mind and make mistake and own up mistake. You have to release them while teenage into college, because you don't want to make a man that cannot live without you. All right. You don't know. This is very, very, very tricky question. All right. So let me stop here. Any other question along this line? This is the men's side. I'll talk to the women's side. Ready? Any question on this one? You don't have to agree with me. Online people, this is from thousands of hours of coaching. And I have seen these men. I don't know how they talk. I don't care how they talk, how they look. Handsome athlete, play sport. I don't care. They are 6'5", they are 200-pound muscle. The outside appearance doesn't matter. The inside, if they have this risk area never worked out outside the mom's comfort zone, he's not ready for you. I don't want him to practice on you, to be his mom first. Does that make sense? I don't you fill in his mom's role for him, because that man will never grow or take too long to grow. That's okay. If that's the case, oh, for the woman, if you marry one already, don't go divorce, please. There's way to help out. Okay, let us help you. There are way people can grow. I've seen a man, no, I'm seriously, in his 40, 50, when he understands all this passion, I see that man grow literally in front of us, not in the stature high. That the wife is right next to him. They start to work on issues in 3 hours. That man grow from a man, mommy's man in his 20 or teenager to about 35 and 40. So you could make up time with no time. The inner thing doesn't, it's such an amazing thing. Like if you unlock this thing in you, people grow fast. And when wife allow that man to have the room to grow that his mother never allowed him to grow. Boom. That's where the marriage is really a wonderful place for the best therapeutic area for you to grow. Any question here, folks? I know you don't believe me, but I hold privacy of my client the top thing, so I cannot show you their thing, but I have video, documented. I watch young men, not men in the 40 grow in 3 hours when he realized who he was and who he could be. And the wife allowed that to happen. It's a wonderful thing. All right. Any other question on this one with men? Women, ask question away. Come on. Anything else on this one? Okay.
I put one in the chat, but I'll just go ahead and ask on.
All right, go ahead.
So what if you've been a Christian for a long time, you're really, going after God's heart, and you're seeking out a man or woman who is on the same level as you. Like, you don't want to date a baby Christian, like somebody who's brand new, just came out the womb type of thing. How is that too high of a standard, or is that too high?
Okay. Courtney's question, let me rephrase it. It's like, you have a strong faith. You have been developed as a Christian girl for 10 years, hard work, right? To be single and you develop everything, practice, love the Lord. But you look around, it's like, oh man, today the men, they don't care about God. Okay, they like, do they really? Are they Christians? I understand. Okay. So if you said that your future husband to be the same level in certain walk in faith with you, is that too high a standard? That's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful life. All right. Good question. Number one, it's age dependent, seasonal. It depends on the season. Okay. If you are in college, that's not too high of a standard. You are in the early 20s, you are in the teenage years, when you expect your man to at least on par with your faith level, that's not too high a standard. Make sense? You know why? Because you both have limited time to develop to that point. So the discrepancy of that development wouldn't be too much. So when you said that, and you are in the same age group around college, that's a perfect timing to look for a man like that, because they won't be too far away ahead of you, or you won't be developing too far away from him. You both are making mistakes. You both are like the best is the big baby Christian. Okay, you are still early on your Christian faith. You are still in school. You haven't really faced the real reality in life. So, and in that season, that's not too high. That's perfect. Okay. But a huge change when you get into marketplace job. Big. You know why? Because now the Christian value thing is wonderful. No, when I say this, I know there will be pastor going to nail me on the cross. I'm prepared. Okay. So I'm going to say this out loud, because this is a lot of young Christian women struggle as a young professional. When you get to workplace, you have to, now when I say this, you have to be carefully watch what I'm going to say. you have to be unassuming. That means you cannot use Christian faith thing to make your own decision the only way. You have broadened on horizon to look beyond just religious stuff. You have, because how do you know a man is a good Christian? The man go on Sunday, go on church every Sunday? Is that your standard? If you are, let me give a statistic. The divorce rate within the church and outside the church is the same. So if you want to marry a church-going husband, too bad. Either not, that guy already married, or you know what I'm saying? So church-going, the behavior, the human doing side, the routine cannot tell whether a guy is a good Christian. But a lot of other things can be applicable here. All right. So you have to be careful to take that part away from your standard right now. Your life is more versatile. In the marketplace, there are many constraints. For example, if you want to marry an NBA player, the NBA player couldn't go to church on Sunday. Do you know that? Because they play on Sunday. Okay. So you have to know, like, you know, but so that one you have to be careful. Number two, the value. So you have to come down to value, whether the man have value rather than Christian faith stuff. Oh, Christian behavior, Christian habit, talk like a Christian. That I'm like, you have to be very careful on that. But you have to look on the value side. I won't go there tonight because that's my topic. But most importantly, is on the passion side, the human being side. Can a man be himself? Is the man confident? Did the man have failed in his life and know how to pick himself up? Is the man self-aware of he is able or he's not able to? Is a man really good conversationalist? Can the man articulate himself in front of people? Does the man have a good friend circle around him? All these things is more important than the Christian faith. Let me take that back. It's as important as the so-called Christian thing. Does that make sense, young lady? You have to be very cautious. Oh, he's a Christian. You go to church. I don't care, folks. I don't even care. For today's society, that shouldn't be your first priority. Your first priority is have to know that man's heart or the motivation. What drives this man? So it's very important. All right. So so I'll leave more room here for questions. All right. Anybody? Corny, do I answer your question or you can unmute yourself? You can say, okay, anybody want to ask something, question here?
You did answer it, but now I'm curious about age. So we just talked about faith in particular, where somebody is on that spectrum. But now I'm thinking, if someone is younger than me, or if somebody is older than me, or I'd rather not date somebody who's younger than me or older than me. How would you advise somebody around that?
Yeah, so it's very crucial. So I'll give you a couple of things. I don't think age matters in today's dating. I mean, I'm not saying like big age differences. I'm saying really seriously, there are men who are younger but more mature. All the women out there, are you with me on this one? But they are older men. They are just like a teenagers. Are you with me on this one too? Like, oh yeah, I'm older. No, you are not older. You behave like a teenager. Okay, so the age today is so, in the digital world and the post-pandemic, is so messed up, guys. Okay, so so this is very crucial when you go outside the first season of development. That's what college and high school is for. It's like a simple, a pure, when I say pure, it's a simpler society that give you chance to make mistake at the same time to be you. Okay, but once you go into the marketplace, that's very different. Okay, that means it's much more complex in terms of the dimension. So when you see things, you have to see it really. So it's more challenging to see a man in his own color. Color means his natural when you walk into the marketplace. A man with a lawyer title doesn't mean that man is your ideal spouse. Does that make sense? The man underneath the lawyer title, you have to know that. To really know that, you must be skillful enough. Otherwise, you can be fooled by money. You can be fooled by title. You can be fooled by church job and all that. So you have to look into small things. I'll help you out. But if you are passionate, folks, don't worry about it. Okay, get somebody to do PQ and talk to Coach K. I will give you like no, I'm kidding. So it would be very wise for you to do something. So in a way, you could be assuming if you are 25, you don't find good men around you as a woman, you should be very intentional about it. Not try to move or anything, but I feel you should be unassuming. That means widen your the funnel. Like, be more unassuming out there. People say, oh, I'm a Christian girl, I don't want to try dating app. Well, 87% of today's marriages come from dating app, including Christians. What do you want? All right, so dating app is not spiritual. Well, sorry, then you want to just get married when you are 50s and something, so so I just met a couple, coupling up. They both know a lot of mutual friends in New York. They get on the app called Bagel and Coffee and Bagel. They go out, lunch, sit down, eat, just no string attached. Not even it's a dating website, but come on, it doesn't going to hurt you. We just sit down, bagel and coffee time, about 45 minutes. And they met online. Now they are deeply in love. They find out they know a lot of mutual friends. I was in a wedding in Princeton. I just see them start to, oh boy, love just like, but the man is in his 30, the girl is like 27. They wouldn't think they could have someone, in their life like this. So they are both Christian. All right. So, hey, I want to change your mind a little bit. Be intentional, because in a way you have to broaden your so-called criteria, not lower your standard, but broaden that funnel that coming in a little bit more. So people say, Coach K, I'm an intercessor. I'm a prayer warrior. I'm to pray. I see my husband. I'm in the place like, come to me like, Pastor, I think that man is my future husband. I say, shut up, okay? Shut up, get out, and do the PQ, come back. But God showed me in my vision, I dream about him. Shut up, because you like his look. So he's in your dream, come on, don't give me this. And so I never do that. Okay. So we need really know a person's heart. That's the most difficult thing. So make it unassuming. So as a PQ thing, passionate, you have to have that confidence that the heart is not that difficult to measure, to know. Right? So go out unassumingly, just with somebody. Even they don't have your same face. Well, when I teach this, everybody's going to kill me, but that's okay. Because you wouldn't know what you're going to run into. Okay. But then you are not lower your standard, folks. You are just unassuming. Not everybody you meet one-on-one is your future husband or your future wife. Come on. Just make some friends out there. All right. And then I'll help you with other standards. Does that make sense, folks? This is very, very crucial, because the divorce rate is tremendously declining these days. You know why? Because nobody get married. The marriage rate plumped. And so the divorce rate. So I don't think it's a good thing. Okay. So I want young men to find, but people say, oh, Coach K, do you believe God will prepare someone for you? Yes, I do. But you have to do your part too. Okay. You have to do your part too. Now, but when you go out dating, don't go out dating. Go out being unassuming, to know people. You can come back and talk to Coach Joyce. I think this man I meet today in the bagel and coffee, his profile is this. So expand your way how to read people and stuff like that. Okay. So I want you to take interest in people, folks. That's what I mean. When you graduate from college, I want you to broaden your interest in people. Be unassuming. That's what the Bible says. In the Bible, Jesus said, in me, I'm meek. I'm tender. The translation should be, I'm unassuming. Unassuming means I'm humble. You are not a Christian man, I'm not going to judge you. Okay, I'm not going to bring, I'm not putting on judging on you, but I can still have a bagel and coffee with you. Does that make sense? You can hang out with people. You can be you. So men too, you have to like, oh, I'm my wife to play. So this is a lot of like, I want my wife to be a worship leader. Shut up, man. Okay, are you one? Oh, I'm one. You both want to get on the stage to lead worship. So who can take care of a baby? Oh, your baby just a backstage running around. What are you talking about? Okay, all this is fantasies. It's like, So okay, so then you should tell. You said, I actually want to enjoy beauty. Let me do this. If you have that kind of funky thing, let me show you. That's what you should say. Give me a minute. Let me get rid of this. If you say that, what's actually in your heart is this. Give me 1 minute, please. So then, if you say you want your wife to be a worship leader, actually, this is how your passion quotient may be saying, listen, I want my wife to be a worship leader. Well, hey, you may be talking like you want your wife to be beautiful, love stuff that's beautiful, that really have that artistic nature, also sensitive, willing to like sense God's move and the people sensitive to people's need. You should use that language as your standard. Does that make sense? Instead of just, oh, I want to marry a worship leader. Shut up, please. A man come to me, and the man is going to every church looking for worship leader. What a wicked, search for that. Sorry, I know them, I coach them, so I have to shut them down and say, you should change your language because you appreciate beauty, so you want your future wife to appreciate beauty. You might find most of the worship leaders have that passion. That's fine. But don't use worship leader as your standard. Does that make sense? So somebody who don't even play an instrument, don't sing, but have a beautiful heart, have love beautiful stuff, enjoy the beautiful scenery, that should be on your radar screen too. Why you are so narrow with that standard? And so you have to come back to the motivation of the PQ stuff to rephrase your narrative about your standard. Then suddenly the scale on your eye going to fall off, like, she's not a worship leader, but she's beautiful. She loves beautiful stuff. Wow. That may be your future wife. All right. Good. Any other question? Let me look into the, oh, this is my favorite topic. Oh, I can talk all night about this. Let me get this one in. All right. He's a mommy's boy. So what's that mean? Okay, here. All right, the woman with the dad, that's another issue. Let me talk about it, okay? That's a little bit more. Usually that come from two very extreme spectrum. It comes down to the special relationship that dad with daughters. Okay, it's very special. I have a son, 17. I love my son, but I wish I have daughters. Okay, so I'm not qualified to talk about it. And I believe I don't have a daughter because if I could have one, I'll have a spoiled princess in the world. Okay, that's how much I'm like, I want one. So, but daddy developed a very, very strong, it's very complicated or interesting dynamic with daughters, especially when they go through teenage years, preteen in particular, preteen, 12, 13, 14. If you are women, that's where you start to take huge interest in opposite gender, especially men. And it turned out it may be your dad is the only male you are able to see, to observe, to absorb, to make your decision about what man is good for you. So that preteen budding interest or passions is very important. So very extreme. So if you have a very good daddy who love you, most of girl will model your future husband based on your daddy's profile or motivation. It's very, very interesting. If you're a dad with very high powered dad, let me just get that. Okay. So this one happened all the time from our data. Nothing wrong with it. I would just know, like, let me give you a couple of things. Like, say if your dad is a guy who is high power, that means your daddy, let me give you something. Like, say your daddy is a high power daddy. What that means, like, it's not his domineering, but your dad has that voice. The dad is a leader in the family, outside the leader, in the community, in the company. Most of teenage girls, if you have a good relationship with your dad, you will model your future spouse on this. Okay. So that's why, when you start dating, you should bring your boyfriend home. Let your high-powered dad look at the young man and say, young man, I'm watching you. Okay. I'm watching you. So that's why if I could have a daughter, her boyfriend could have a huge problem coming the first day to my family. I'll let him know, like, I'm a high-powered guy. All right. It could be this will very be a lot of, like, if your dad is a high saving man, you know what? He's a good provider. Doesn't mean he's rich. The saving means he is a provider in time, money, in talent. So he knows how to manage the finances. Most of the girl, if you have a good relationship with the dad, the standard will come high on this one. All right. I can keep going. These are the huge thing on the men's side. And if your daddy is very high in terms of honor, let me pull it in. Honor means tradition. Your dad has a very high standard of personality and stuff like that. Then you will tend to want your man to be like that. Okay. So there are a couple of things that the good relationship between the dad and the daughter will linger through a girl's life to be able. So you are almost like looking for that good motivation trait in your daddy's life. And you will start to see these are very, very important. Okay. So I will just give you a couple of them. All right. Now, the other extreme could be not every girl have a good relationship with dad. All right. Could be absence of the dad. Could be the mom and dad has a very tough relationship. So in that case, it's become more complicated. So your standard may come from your longing to fill in the void of that absence of dad in your life. So that become very, very bubbly. What that means is because you don't have your dad around you, or your dad divorced your mom, for example, or your dad left physically, or just to be on a long business trip, or just could be a military stop. And that void, that fantasy. So usually that kind of standard that you develop could be a bubble, could be a void that no man can ever fill it. No man, because you don't even know what you want. Okay. So in that case, the absence of a father sometimes create that bubbly standard, or let's call it a moving target in a woman that usually come from that woman needs security. The security outweigh everything else. So if your standard of husband come because there's a void of or absent father, you will come down to mostly three passions. Acceptance, let me give you that right now. I hope you can jot this down. You will have to manage this and have to be careful. So let me give you this. Okay, give you a couple of things. In that case, you will want your man to totally accept you. Now, that's a tall order for a lot of today's men, okay? To know you as who you are and really accept who you are. That's the top thing for a relationship because it took me, I married 28 years this year, going to be anniversary soon. And we dated 4 years, so we are together almost 30 years. I still don't know my wife. How about that? I'm still learning every day. I just see her change, growing, just the same set of pattern, but she's just growing. I'm like amazed sometimes I marry her, okay? So if you want somebody, if you want to have to fulfill your acceptance, like you're longing to be accepted by a man, young woman and woman out there, I have to break the news to you. That's a tall order. It could happen, but it will take time for both to walk together, to develop a pattern. I call it the tango dance in terms of your acceptance. So it's very crucial, very crucial. There's a phase coming. Okay, I know, you guys know phase is a big thing for me. So that's why this phase coming, because I don't want to get acceptance from my wife. I need that. I want to get acceptance from God, for example. So, and she's doing the same thing. So we both get accepted, we get close to God, and then we start to be able to get close to each other, test out each other's sensitivity stuff and work together. My wife is much lower acceptance. She just say what she wants. Sometimes hurt me like, so I have to go to God, for example. So if you are not, Christian, you can go. This could be a habit. It could be music. Could be anything that will bring you two together without assuming each other too much. Like, oh, you have to know me. You have to know me. You have to hear me. Well, be careful. If that's your standard, it will take longer time, or you will have to work together. It's never one-sided stuff. All right, that's one. The second is tranquility. A lot of young women today have high tranquility. So, and I'll back to this again. So that means you need to have security in your life. You want to be secure financially. You want to be secure emotionally. You want to secure whatever, I don't know. And this one, I understand. This is definitely not, you could say your standard, but marriage is always like an adventure. If you're not married into a secure fortress, the problem, the safest fortress would be British royalty. But you can see not everybody married into British royalty is happy. That's a tremendous tranquil place. Oh, palace. People work around you, fortune, status. But you see, when people marry into tranquil place like that, secure, are every woman married there happy? Well, you can dig into history. So it's not just that to really satisfy who you are inside. So that standard, you have to be very careful that you want to marry into security. That's where today is called sugar daddy thing, right? I can keep going on all that. So be very careful that mentality out there. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying you know what you're going to get if you want to marry into security. Or another mentality is like, can I manage my tranquility at least when I'm single, so I can work on my stuff? So I don't have to marry into security. I will consider this adventure that we join adventure together. Let's take risk. Let's shoulder the risk together. Wow, that's a much better standard. Like, can this man shoulder, can this woman shoulder that risk with me? And that's a nice standard. That's a very nice modern standard. Can we both shoulder equal yoke, with that man or woman and walk down life? So here you have to look how that man and woman respond to challenges, respond to pandemic. So pandemic is a wonderful test for tranquility. All right. So I was in a wedding. I see some of the young men and women go out and dance, but I can see some of them still live on the tranquil state. You're like, I don't want to touch nobody, and that's okay. Okay. But you have to know, like, a life challenges and sometimes unfortunate thing happening in life is a good test to see, can you shoulder risk with this man or woman to be a lifelong partner? All right. I'll just give you two. There are many so everybody's unique. I don't want to just go in like, oh, everybody should do this, but these are the most critical thing to think about. All right. Any other questions? Help me out. Nobody type nothing. Let me see. Okay, here we go. That's it. All right.
Coach K.
Okay.
Define equally yoked in PQ terms.
Yeah, very good. Equally yoked doesn't mean 50-50. I have a lot of modern couple like Let's go Dutch every time we go out. Well, Dutch, it's 50-50. No. All right. So what is the equally yoked? Equally yoked means this is why we do pre-marriage counseling, not counseling. No, I'm not counseling. The pre-marriage PQ coaching sessions. So for example, I'll give you an example. What is equally yoked? Okay, ready? Let's use saving money thing. Okay, money. Where's money? Okay. Give me 1 minute. All right. Boom. I hope you're still with me online, people. Okay, here we go. All right, so for example, equally yoked on saving passion. Saving is a passion out there, people. You will know this. Saving means you want to use your resource effectively, okay? Preserve them, collect them, save money. There are 3 T's: treasure, to do with money; time, to do with saving time. I don't have a picture here. Use my head. Talent. Hey, I'm talent. All right, so treasure, time, and talent. So what is equally yoked? So like in every marriage passion workshop, I'll sit a couple down. I'm to ask, all right, money, what will be the percentage of each of you willing to shoulder for the first year of a marriage? Who bring the income right now? Okay. Talk about it. Could be 40-60, could be 50-50, or the wife could say, I want to have a baby right now. Can I? Not working. So if you say like, I want to marry somebody so I don't have to work day one, sorry, bad idea. Don't do that. Okay. So you have to sit down and willing to develop a plan. But then that's called equally yoked, because then I'll ask, with your passion quotient, who will be ultimately responsible to have a final say on money? That had to decide as well. Now you see this equally yoked means you sit down to talk about your responsibility. That means response to your ability. 40, 60, and all that. Okay. The same way, you want to have a joint account, you want a separate account, let's talk about it. There's nothing we cannot talk about it. Okay. But then ultimately, who will have the final say? You'll be shocked. This one need to be talked about and make decision, and somebody outside like me hold you accountable, because this one could have a lifelong impact. And what you set up may not work for your life, but you at least have start somewhere. Okay. The same thing with time. How you two want to juggle the time? How much time you want to spend together? How much a guy need to work, a woman need to work? How many hours weekly work day? What will be the upper limit? Okay. How do you spend your time? Exercise time. You have to talk about it. And then ultimately plan a trip. When we make that decision between two of you, who is ultimately say to this? The same with talent in the middle. Talent means like, who is taking out the trash? Who is cooking? I just met a girl, Princeton girl, like, I don't like cooking. All right. But I'm a very good cleaner. I mind my man to cook, but I'll clean after him. Well, that's a standard. You can go out there and say that. But so you have to decide, so this is called equally yoked, depend on each passion. You can go down and really divide and conquer, talk before you get married. That need to be there. That means equally yoked. It's never just, so today's marriage sometimes doesn't work, or when they are dating, it's like, I need to be fair. Everybody, 50-50. Well, if you have a standard like that, that's not equally yoked. That will be a very tough standard to keep up with, because what is real 50-50? You have to come down to this kind of divide and conquer and responsibility, respond to your ability. All right. So we almost have to walk to every of this passion. For example, we do this in our stuff. I'll just show you. Like we always will talk about beauty. I put it too low. I have to raise it up. Young people, this is very important. All right. The beauty is not just appreciate beauty. This includes sex, sexual life. Talk about. Okay. And this all need to equally yoke. Doesn't mean like, oh, every week I must have this many sex. Come on. That's robotic. What are you talking about? But when you really enjoy this physical activity together, what do you see in each other? You have to come out and really, whose responsibility to make that romantic atmosphere? Is man or woman? Actually talk about. So in a way, that's called equally yoked. Who is, so a lot of like, you will be shocked. Like we have to talk a lot. It's like when you guys have this wonderful, wonderful lovemaking thing going now, do you want the light on or off? You will be shocked. It's a huge standard. It's a huge deal breaker. It's kind of funky that way, but I'm serious. This is like, if you don't talk about it, it could be a lifelong struggle. Light on, light off, light on, light off. It's like, all this crazy thing. So this is very, very important. Like you can partition each of your desire, each of your being into 16 different areas, and you can focus on that area, and you can talk about it, and you can divide and conquer. So work as a team, equally yoked, mean that. And then you have a language to communicate down the road when it's not working. You can say, hey, honey, my beauty passion is not satisfied. Help. So, you have a way to communicate. Or, for example, I'll give you something more about older. This one happened a lot, which we usually spend a lot of time. You won't believe it in our pre-marriage and marriage counsel. Not power, sorry. Bad. Older, here we go. Like, how elderly do you want your house to be? That need to be talked about. You won't believe, like, yeah, otherwise we'll be like, so and people say, oh, I love this man. He's messy. I don't care. I love the man. No, you do care. You're going to wake up, see that man like every day. You do care whether he has a good personal hygiene. Trust me, lady. All right. So vice versa. So all this little detail is what I call equally yoked. So to me, are these standards? No. This is actually a process to know each other. And you need to have a neutral language without performance, human doing side, without moral value. Leave those axes aside for now, because we'll pick them up later on. But can you two communicate on this different axis of life? We have 16 of them. We have 4 quadrants and body quadrant. Do you love exercise? Are you a producer? Are you a dreamer? We can talk about that. So it's very, very crucial here. So the standard, let me emphasize it one more time. I don't call this standard. I call this is let me call it. I call this is a understanding. This is a test. This is I call it vulnerability. You have to practice that vulnerability before marriage. So, but you don't go out and say, hey, but you have a PQ test, you have a community, you have friends you can check on and all that. All right, good. Hope I answered the question. Anybody else? Questions? Come on. We have about, our time is almost up. Anybody else? You got anything?
There's 2 more questions.
Okay.
The next one says, what could I do if I am the self-defeating loop type married woman? My husband is not, but whole family has high tranquility. Is my whole family's high tranquility for me?
Who's asking this question? You need help, man or woman, okay? Now, let me explain the self-defeating loop. This is a killer to the marriage. I have to be very, very honest. This is definitely the killer. Let me see if I could be there. Let me get this one off. Give me 1 minute. So this is a self-defeating loop. If I have it, do I have it? No. Dun, 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 dun. Now, when I say this, don't just go back and tell your spouse you are the self-defeating person. Please don't do that to me, okay? Now, And these three, when you have these three PQ passions work together, I hope you now are able to see this picture that a person is highly sensitive, never satisfied with whatever approval that person will get, just wanting more, sensitive, but and then high tranquility means never feel secure enough, never feel safe, no matter what. Okay. And then soft power means that person want to communicate, but that person would take a step back, and in a way it's like, I'm supportive, I love you, but never going to communicate. At the same time, to be passive aggressive with it. So if this is called self-defeating loop, because if you are in this loop, it's very difficult. It's almost give people a cold shoulder, and it's tough. So this one in our relationship cycle, this one it's a trap. It's a lot of women falling here, a lot of men actually falling here too. So if you are here, I look at the question here, you have to break this cycle. Do you know which one is to break first? Not here, not here. You have to work on your power. What that means? That means, I have to work on your decision-making, free will. You have to start to make some change. Now, people choose divorce most of the time. Okay. So in addition to divorce, you do have other options. I've seen that work. So I don't want you to try divorce, because when you get out of this loop or this marriage, you will bring the same loop to the next marriage. I guarantee you, folks, it's not going to change, because your innermost being is the same. So I don't recommend divorce, because there's a way to get out. Okay. So you have to break this loop. Okay. And this is like, I just play a wife, I coach. The wife is sensitive, but on the score, maybe low acceptance. But within it's a very little girl that's hurtful, wounded, always want to be approved by something. But the wife spend time at home or very successful at job, but that's just not enough. And then the wife develop high tranquility, secure, pandemic, virus, everything just triggered the insecurity inside. All right, sensitive and insecure. Okay. But the wife doesn't want to speak up, doesn't even want to fight. It's soft power. It's like, I'm going to support my son. I'll wait until my son and daughter go to college, then I do something. I'm going to just endure the whole process. I'm supportive. That you can use a lot of religious stuff to work on yourself. Oh, I'm a good, faithful wife and all that. Use a soft power thing, suppress inside. But then from time to time, that power will just explode. Like and this one happened. And this is really, really off. So now, if you ask me, no, you need help. All right, you need that. I don't know, I can help you. You need help. Counseling could help on some acceptance stuff. Counseling could help on tranquility, but today's counseling doesn't help you to work on your free will decision. You have to work on your power. That means you must have the desire within, like, I got to change myself. I need to change. Not my husband, not my wife, not the society, not the political parties, not the president of the United States, not the education system, not my pastors, not my leader, not my boss, but I need to change. You have to go back. So we have tools to help you, like a fishbone. You do the fishbone, look at where you get wounded, where you get hurt. Now we can help you to have a new narrative, but to focus on whether you are able to make a decision that say, I need a change. And you need to develop a plan, get out of your cocoon and your comfort zone, start to make changes. And that one is on the power side, nothing else. You got to, so that also you need to practice this in a small group that you are able to really share vulnerably. That's usually don't exist in today's group. You go to say church people, go to church Bible study, nobody talk about stuff. So just Bible scripture and come back, everybody good Christian. You probably have to stop going to that. If you are this, you have to stop going to that Bible study group because it will be there for another 30 years, nothing changed. But you have to go to a place where people are able to change you. How are you doing today? And can tell you, I'm struggling, but I'm making decision today to make it better. You should join a group like that. All right. You have to get out of that comfort zone right now. All right. And start to go like, oh, I'm soft power, to just kind of hide in a place where everybody's soft power going around. Okay. Be very careful of this one. All right. Coach Haiti, you always give me a very tough question. This one will take another 3 hours to answer. All right. All right. Anybody else? One more question.
The next question says, if a man or woman says they want to be married, but they don't want kids, but kids are very important to their partner, how big of a problem is that disagreement?
Huge problem, but it's solvable. I married my wife. She's a Harvard graduate. She's a gung-ho career woman. Okay. If I set the standard like she has to love kids, I should not have married her. She wants to have career. She wants to pursue out of a lot of her childhood stuff because she lost her father when she was 10 out of sickness, right? Died of sickness. And she was raised up $2 by a single mom. So she needs security. Okay. She needs to really to be a career woman. All right. So I marry her, but you guys know me. I love kids. Oh, I love kids. I love kids. So when we got married, we didn't talk about it. So we married. So our first 10 years, I struggled big time, folks. I want kids. She doesn't want kids. We cannot touch that. It becomes a self-defeating loop. Like every time I start talking about kids, our conversation broke down. Okay, just no conversation. She's hiding. And I don't want to force her to do anything. So I struggle big time. I don't have a man to talk about. Okay. So I struggle big time to a point, I almost wanted to divorce her. She knows that. Again, so to me, that's such a difficult thing. But you know what? The change comes. So that's why saying this is like 10 years. That's why I have to have a testimony for you. It's like I struggle, she struggle, but I know she doesn't want to have kids. It's not because she doesn't like kids. She was wounded. She was hurt. She just don't know how to deal with kids. And she was not. So, and I can't do, so if I want to fill in that void of her life, I can't, folks. That void, that big empty space, too big for me to fill as a husband. I can't. So I gave up. We don't talk about it. It's a hot button in our life for many years, the first 5, 6, 7 years. So I won't go into detail, folks. One day, this is supernatural. If you don't believe it, I can help you, but it's out of an inner healing deliverance, meeting. God miraculously healed my wife. No, seriously, I don't want to go to details. She just started. It's almost a spell is broken. She just I don't know how to describe it, and she was filled with that Heavenly Father's love. And I walk home. Let me share a little secret with you. She was so insecure every day. She has to like hold me very close when she sleeps. At the very beginning of marriage, it was sweet. You have a girl like really hold you tight so close. After you marry for a year, that's a burden, folks. I want my space. Don't touch me, I want to be like, So, snuggling is so neat when you have a boy and a girlfriend. But after you snuggle for a year, you can try that every night. Like, get off me, woman, So, no, I'm kidding. No, I love her. But you can see that we are different. We are unique, And so, and after that dramatic healing and deliverance, she doesn't need me snuggling with her every night anymore. I am free. Wow. And the more testimony I can share with you, I don't know. But at the same time, I just have to be unassuming. I have to be almost on the sideline. I had to work. I don't put my expectation on her anymore. To a point, I die to myself. I have to die to myself on that. I say, if I don't have a kid, so be it. I almost have to say that, but I still love this girl. I love her dearly. But there's one area so thorny, so untouchable. But I hope one day we're able to talk and touch on that. Even so, I still want to love her. Vice versa. And just before you know it, once she's healed, the wound is really healed. And then we start to see, and she has a new vision about how kids could be. So we have a small group with 2 little girls. So they are not college people. They already graduate college. I remember them like 2 little beautiful little girls. They say, hey, Kong Wei, Xiao Wei. So my wife and I start to be in that group, and she starts to play with those 2 girls. And she say, kids are not horrible. Kids are adorable. You see that? Suddenly she started to open her eyes to see it. And then I lost my job in Jersey, and I was doing entrepreneur thing, very busy. So I focused everything on my job. So I start company in high tech. I work 60, 70 hours a week. And then suddenly I lost my job, as a co-founder of the company. The VC come in, fire us. So we get fired. I was 30 with a PhD, no job. So, I may have to go through this. So I hope my wife is watching. I know she's watching. So that's okay. So we actually had to move to Albany, New York. Nobody there. Sorry, Albany people, we love you, but I know nothing happened in Albany. Okay, up to New York, Adirondack, natural. And I went to the DMV first in Albany, and the DMV people start to have a very friendly conversation with me. I'm like, I look around and say, are you talking to me? Because in Jersey, the DMV people don't talk to you. They hate you, okay? So I was like, whoa, are you talking to me? Yeah, sir, I'm talking to you. Like, how are you doing? I say, whoa. So God moved us to a place to relax both of us. And she started to become a wife who wants kids. Day by day, slowly. It's possible. The character, the things you think is so hard, it's changeable. But do you both have that room and space for each other to grow, to be unique, to be fearlessly her? Would you allow that man to be fearlessly him too? And then we talk about live happily together, not the other way around. Don't look for happiness only. Look for this part a little bit, So just cut it short. When we want to have kids, then we couldn't have kids for 5 years. We had a problem have kids. We were too old. But Zach was born, another miracle. I won't share that with you publicly. But so if you don't have faith, if you lost your faith somehow through pandemic, hey, come back, all the boys and girls. God is real. It's good. So be fearless you, happily together. So now we had Zach when we were both 35. And we, all the stories. So folks, do not put a timetable on your biological clock. Like you could be 30, you can get married at 35. You can still have a wonderful marriage. All right? Don't rush. I really think as a single woman and single man, it's the best time of your life to finding who you are, to be fearless you. So I love to have single woman, single man, have a group, go out, rock climbing, do something like you never done before. Like really, really focus on be fearless you and know you and start to unassuming, not dating, but talking to people, knowing people. Today's generation, find interest in people, to know people, to study them, to hang out with them, to be unassumingly to see their weakness and strengths, okay? Be that person, All right, relax your standard a little bit. Don't judge. Don't be judgmental. Go, but don't just start dating single out. Not yet. To go. So that's the next step. We call it dating with a purpose. That's the next stage. But the first stage, you should enjoy the single man and woman. No, I teach it very differently. But I know it works because people around us start to get married and all that. And I think it's pretty good marriage too. It's not they don't have a problem, but at least they have a right attitude toward what marriage is. All right. Any other question? Joyce, go ahead.
There's a question in the chat. In retrospect, what do you think were the most important factors ended up helping your marriage to work all these years? For example, any helpful shared passions, life goals, values, etc., that you and your wife both had from the beginning?
At the beginning, it's pure. Well, okay. So I set a standard for my future wife when I was a teenager. Let me give you that standard. Are you ready? I want a woman that's totally unlike of my mother. Had to be opposite my mother. Are you with me on that one? That's not a good standard. So my mother is a high-power woman. My mother is a lovely woman. I love her. Okay. My mother is a great prayer warrior, worshiper, and all that. I love my mom. Okay. She's such a good, works so hard for the family. We didn't have a lot of money. But I don't know. I told myself, I just need a girl that's not like my mother. That's a simple standard. What I mean is, I want the girl to be very, it's hard to translate. This is from Chinese called 温柔. If you want to learn this Chinese, 温柔. 温柔. That basically means meek and tender-hearted. All right, so I say, God, I want a girl who loves you. This is my prayer as a teenager. Not like my mom. That's inner talk, okay? High power. And I want the girl to be like meek, tender, and like respectful. And Xiaowei talk very soft power, very tender. And she talk, very ladylike when she was in college. I fell in love with her right away. But you know what? She's no tender girl. Within my wife, she is a black and white girl. I didn't know. So she's very tough inside. Like she can face things. Like when our house have something, if our house could be on fire, my wife is calmer than me. Okay. So I don't know what I was asking, but I was being honest with myself. Okay. So it's very important. The first thing, young man, young woman, is you have to be brutally honest with yourself, that who you are. Okay. So that you have to get to that point. Like brutally honest means that you're hurting. Like maybe you have a relationship that hurt you. Somebody dump you, you dump somebody. All that experience you have to let go. If you could have learned something about, you are self-aware of who you are. You are honest with yourself. You are going to ask and answer the question honestly to yourself. So you need quiet time. You need some guidance. You need mentors to bounce off stuff. But you have to be brutally honest with yourself. Why you do this? Why you don't want that? Why you set up the standard? Why you dump that guy? Why you feel so hurt you dumped by this girl? You got to be brutally honest with yourself. That one is a first lesson, I would say. Okay. And if you have the second one, it would be good luck. I was a very lucky girl. I married a girl I was with in a college fellowship. So when we know each other, we know string attached. It's always in a group. It's always something going on. So we saw each other with no string attached. Like, should we be a couple? I don't know. But I know how she behaved, how I talk, all that. So I was very fortunate to be able to see her in a way that I'm not thinking she is a wife material. I'm thinking her as just a friend, just someone. So you have to have that. So I don't like some of the Christian people like, oh, I'm looking for someone. You might like, shut up, get out. All right, you are not looking for, okay. Be prepared. Okay, sorry. When I say shut up, because I see all this talk all over. Okay, so When I say shut up means please find a quiet place, know yourself, self-reflecting, be quiet. Can you enjoy just you? If you are not able to be alone, you are not ready for any relationship. If you cannot be alone and enjoy a little bit, you need work on it. All right. Any other things?
Let me ask this question a different way.
Okay.
What helped you and your wife during difficult moments? What common things helped you both in those challenging times?
Number one, she's beautiful. So for girls, okay. My wife is beautiful. I don't care what you say. She's beautiful to me. From day one. So we are both 29. No, we are both 50s. We all change, but I'm very proud. You can look at my wife's look. She looked good today. So I'm responsible for that. All right. No, I'm kidding. So and to me it's that's a joke, but it's partially true. All right. So what helped us going through a difficult time? I have to say, number one, we have faith. We have not just faith, we have not just moral values. No, those things don't count in the real time, in the real difficult time, okay? Temptation and stuff. What really counts is what you build memory foundation based on something, not her value or my value. There's a common value. I almost got the God-given value, the God-given rights that we have together. And we build life together. And I can always refer to those moments that we had that together. We put down our own opinion and we build something to that togetherness, that memory. Oh, so strong. So if a beautiful young girl wants 15 minutes of my time in a motel that have fun for 15 minutes, one hand, and my wife for 28 years, she may not look as good as a young woman. For me, I'll make a judgment. Like, I'm not going to give up this 28 years of memory built. Nobody can replace that. No way. Are you kidding me? All right, you see that, vice versa, I think. Okay, so to me, that togetherness that built not by my preference, her preference, or just a compromise, but built on we are both could be fearless as us. At the same time, that common ground that we build, I call it no man's land, is God's land. I love it. Those experiences that we just, she supported me fully to be a full-time minister, giving up my career, living in a half basement for 3 years, no health insurance, no constant support. She supported me. And when I look back those 3 years, that's a common no man's land, not my land, no woman's land, that we come together. So a couple need something higher than just you and me. You must have a common purpose that's higher than just raising kids together. You must have something that connect. This is called no man, no woman's land. I call it the kingdom couple. You must have something higher than that. Hold that standard in you. And God will see that to happen and fulfill in your life. It will take many years to fulfill, but you got to believe marriage is more than just raise up kids, have good house, have, good life. Those will come. Marriage has a higher purpose. Any couple who hit that together will not separate. It's too precious. It's not just a cost. I don't know how to describe it. It's a being to being. It's deeper than doing. It's deeper than moral value. It's deeper. It's a human being start to be able to see each other in their most vulnerable state, but still accept each other and willing to build something uncertain, even the uncertain future together with a trust, not to each other, but trust God. That's a foundation. It's very abstract, but I hope you can absorb this, that I want to raise up your expectation or anticipation for marriage. You say, I don't marry a Christian man. Well, you know what? It's not just Christianity. It's something with higher. So I have to say this. Now, you will be very sad. I hear this. I see a lot of non-Christian couples have better marriage than Christian couples. So this is a kingdom principle. This is a biblical principle. We have a class called Kingdom Couple. We teach that, but that's use a religious language, the biblical stuff. We go to Genesis and we teach what that purpose means. And that's very, 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 very important. Okay, so I hope that give you something. Okay, and so the commonality, the experience built together, the Akia marriage that start from humble, that build that togetherness, the memory. And also I call this no man, no woman's land. Like we give each other room. We allow the third party from above to come in, to be in our marriage. That no man, no woman's land that God occupy. That's another key. All right. Who asked this question? Okay. So this is deep question. I love it. All right. Anybody else? One more. I'm going to let you guys go. All right.
I actually have one more.
Okay.
How do you know if a person is ready for marriage when there's still trauma and baggage they have to deal with from their past?
All right. So the question is very simple. Like if a person still have some baggages, let's use the baggage. How about that? Emotional. It's a very, very, you can never measure the readiness, okay? But you can always gauge the willingness, how much price a person is willing to pay to be with you. Let me try that one more time. You can never gauge the readiness of a person by looking at the outside, how traumatized that person is, how immature. No, it's about at this moment, how much that person is willing to pay a price to be with you, and how much you are willing to pay the price for togetherness. That is something you are going to gauge, and you have to set up tests to gauge that. Okay, and that means, is that man or woman teachable? Is that woman and man coachable? Is that a man and woman communicating instead of passive aggressive? All that need to be in the relationship as you develop. So it won't take 7 years, folks. You won't, it doesn't, it take about 6 to 7 months. You will know. He will know, she will know. So if you have to test somebody's readiness for 7 years, you two shouldn't be together. If you're out there, I'll be honest with you, you're together 7 years, you never want to get married, that's fine. If you don't get married, that's fine. But you are 7 years and you test each other's readiness, you will never be ready, because your test standard is wrong. Okay, so you have to come back to yourself. Very, very all right. So hopefully I answered. Joyce, do I answer your question?
Yeah, I kind of have another question now.
All right, good. Go.
The title of this is my standard too high or whatever? I think for me, I'm gonna try to use PQ language as well, but confident leader, like high power. What are your thoughts on it?
Confident what?
Confident leader.
Yeah, all the women, especially if you are Christian and today's modern woman out there, do you want to have a confident leader in your husband? Come on, you have to type yes or no. Do you want that? I want to see it right here in online here. If you want, yeah. Yes. Yeah, really? Do you want your man to be a confident leader? Yeah, really? Come on, I want to see it. Do you want your man to be a confident leader? Okay. All right, very good. Then your standard is very high. Today, from my statistic, the young men I coach, they are rare commodity. Do you know why? Because most of today's young men born in the digital era, the Instagram, Facebook, you name it, actually stir up acceptance, sensitivity rather than confidence. The real confidence is rare these days. Now, some of them are overconfident, but within they are like very wounded. Okay, they manifest in the talk. They talk big, they talk about their dream, but when things get tough or they have to do something, they disappear on you. So I always joke about this. I talk to some of the professional coach for athlete. They always have the same thing. Like today's young athlete, they look tough, they took tough, they have tattoo, they have cool stuff, they like talk cool. But but when things start to get tough, they disappear on you. Right? All kind of excuses. So that's today's trend. So young women out there, I feel for you. I know it's like, where are the confident young men? They do exist, by the way. Okay, but a little bit older. A little bit older. And I give you another scientific thing is they have a functional MRI, which didn't exist 10 years ago. They trace young men, young women over the teenager into young adulthood for 10 years. Now the data came out. Interesting enough, young men today mature much later than before. The age, let me break down to you, especially decision-making responsibility in their brain. You know what age they start that part of the brain start to mature. That means before it's kind of void, empty. Decision-making, time management, commitment, fight and flight thing. You know what age now young men start to mature? But from the brain, function MRI brain study. This is from UPenn, Stanford, or the big place. Give me your, like young woman right here. We have a couple young women. What do you think men around you, they mature? What age? Come on, give me some number.
You're saying now, right?
Yeah, now, like their age group, like how old the man, it take men to really be mature, given your experience around you, like
okay, so
20, 25, 30, 35. I need it.
Okay, if you're saying it changed, then it's after 26 now. So I'm gonna say between 33 and 37.
33 and 37.
33, 34,
so
35,
if you are a woman of 25-year-old, you have to marry 35-year-old man. That happened. Okay, okay. If your standard is like that, okay, I hear you. 35 or 45. No, I think today is more like a sugar daddy episode. Like young women find a sugar daddy. No, I don't mean that. Okay, I'm talking about men's maturity, confident leaders there. Now, for the young men to mature in the decision-making compartment, especially another one is fight or flight mechanism. So that's why a lot of young men don't commit, because they always choose to fly, not fight. Does that make sense? Flight. Okay. It's 25. The problem is it would take another 5 years to mature. Make sense? So when their brains mature, they need another 5 to mature. So that adds up to about 30, which I have to tell you, people around me, young men now mature around 30. They will be someone called confident young man, leader man. I don't know what to do, folks. I just can't show you the data. So when I break this to you, I want to help you to think, don't put a timestamp on you. I have to get married by a certain age. Don't fall into that. You know why? Because all these things are changing in the modern time. In the old time, when the men mature around 21, 22, that's my era. Henry, your era probably mature around 19. Like right after high school, men already are confident young men. They may be too much. We have to pull them back. Like they are like young lions eating each other, like compete, show off. But they at least want to be out there, want to be try to be that man there, right? Henry,
that's true. Yes, that is true.
Right. But today they hide, they play video game, they are talking, and then take another 5 years for the brain to get to some point. They decide to fight. So young woman, this is for you out there, okay? Because you are here. I know. Do not just date because you had to get married by age of 30. Don't have that inner vow. Don't fight all that. It calls like, don't have a biological clock on how you want to get married. But you have to measure your way. As I say, be fearless you. Prepare your singleness. Enjoy it. Be unassuming to build that network of people around you. So hopefully from that crop, some men will mature. No, I'm kidding. Oh,
Or what about
okay,
what
go
about
ahead.
the idea? What about the idea of counting the cost, finding other things that are good, and positive in a man, and saying, well, I can help him for 5 years to get him to a mature point.
That's another strategy I see a lot of young women do today is, but you need help though, because that's higher risk. If you marry a man which is less mature than you that's a very different dynamic than some man is in your maturity or more mature than you. It's very different. Okay. So yes, you are able to so that's why I'm talking about unassuming, like, but does this man have the potential, or this man willing to pay the price to mature quick with you? That's very different. But not just willing, will this man show work, steps, changes? That's very crucial. Okay. So now when I say this, how many of young women I feel like, oh, Coach K, are you there? I know, don't get disappointed, but I just give you the reality out there. So when you look for so-called standard, I want you to know age is something, but it's not everything. All right. How about the money? Now, people want to marry the high value man, like, oh, 6-digit income. Well, this national standard, if the household income is about 75 grand, that's enough, usually very happy. So there's a certain standard you have to go. Like you have said, both of you can come out something that annual income household 75K. That could be a standard you set. Okay. And then and others think, oh, he need to own a house. No. I mean, Xiaowei and I, when we first got married, we live in a student dormitory here on Princeton campus. Our furnitures are made of cardboards. We have cardboard furniture for about 6 months. All right. Oh, I still remember that lovely apartment the first year. I love it. See? So it's not all that. All right. So I want you, but we both willing to work on the IKEA marriage. And then we got everything from IKEA. All right. Just so you guys know. So and I want you to have that kind of no, I know today's girls and boys, but I've seen couples now getting together, giving birth to kids. And so marriage is something still going on, folks. It's not, you don't like it, you don't talk about it. A lot of people enjoy marriage. I want you to be one of them. So I'm here to help. So if you are part of the Passionate community in this channel, please subscribe so we can pop up. Like today, I made a mistake. I don't know what, but at least we can get, our newest, stuff coming out. We'll talk about relationship, talk about career, talk about whatever from the motivation science point of view, PQ science point of view. So, but at the same time, I also want to see a generation of young men, young women that are able to really not work hard, but let me get this, just get this thing one more time. That you're able to be happy in your singleness, enjoy it, fiercely be you. Okay. But then let's start talking about you are able to prepare yourself to live happily together. All right. Thank you all out there. Do I talk about standard? Not really, but that's okay. So we'll miss you. Hopefully we'll see you guys soon next Saturday. Have a wonderful Thursday night.